Y'all ruined Lil Wayne's relationship and you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Beyonce just dropped a single that's been leaking for 3 years, and it's making me rethink, what is Act 3 actually gonna sound like? 7-Eleven is suing Nike, and what could be one of the stupidest moves ever, even though I kinda understand it. And Rick Ross and DJ Khaled's new albums are either gonna flop, or they're gonna do really well. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of the music. My name is Wi-Fi, and culture lives here.
I am the culture.
So I'm going to get right into it and let you know that I'm not going to be one of those people that's here reporting about people's relationships. However, sometimes these stories do kind of hit a little bit closer, and it has something to do with a much bigger thing than just their particular relationship. But let's talk about Wayne. So Wayne and Madi Cannon are done, aka Madi Cannon, and his reason says a whole lot. All right, so first things first, Wayne is 43. Madi's 23, 20-year age difference, and we already know how that goes. And the relationship with the social media influencer has been fueling some rumors that they might be engaged. I mean, Skip Bayless posted photos of them, which was weird. She posted photos with a whole bunch of heart emojis, and you already know. But on a live stream, Wayne actually said that they were never engaged and that they are actually now broken up. And his reasons is what's making me talk about it right now. He said he had a good thing going with a person with a beautiful soul, but he didn't want to be a burden to her because we know how the temperature of things in the culture are. And I knew exactly what he meant by that. It's because of the whole ageism. For some strange reason, we still live in a world where an older person cannot be in a legitimate relationship with a younger person, even though I have to question, is there a such thing as an age-appropriate relationship between two adults? Yes, she's 23, he's 43, 20-year age difference. But how are we as a culture trying to determine somebody else's happiness? And the reason why this makes sense to me is because, like, I'm a 41-year-old person who didn't start college till 36. So I was around people who were much younger than me. And when it comes to my taste in music, my taste in TV, films, all kinds of stuff like that, fashion, including things like, what do I think would be a dope date? I'm not on that take my girl to a dinner and a movie type energy. I like fun stuff. And 9 out of 10 times, I do find more compatibility with people who are younger than me. Maybe because I act younger than I actually am. Who knows? Whatever it is, the fact of the matter is that those are the type of relationships that raise eyebrows all the time. You get bad looks when you're somebody my age and you're seen with somebody who's in their 20s. And that's exactly what Wayne said. He did not want her to have to deal with the noise and the backlash of dating somebody like him. And like I said, y'all ruined Wayne's relationship, and I think you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Now, Wayne is still on tour. This did come right after he was a no-show at like a main date. And he was 2 hours late somewhere else. Actually, it was New Hampshire that he was 2 hours late. But the tour continues, and I kind of hope that he was just saying that so y'all leave it alone. But for real, that low-key, they still building their situation out. Because, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that the pressure of the public should be determining who someone is in a relationship with or who they're not with. And while we're on the talk of relationships, the internet is already searching for who Drake's mystery girl may or may not be. And it is funny. So streamer BenDaDonnn got a FaceTime call from Drake. He was all excited. He was talking to him about whatever. And as the camera got close, the viewers saw Drake's arm around some mystery woman. And of course, Ben quickly angled the camera away, you know what I mean? But then Drake asked, wait, are you live? And Ben must have already knew what it was going to be when he answered that question and said yes. Because he was like, please relax. And of course, Drake boofed on him real quick. And that's all it took. I mean, from there, the conversation's happening on Reddit. I'm pretty sure some subreddits are getting ready to go live. There's probably going to be Discord servers all about it. And as much as I don't actually care who Drake is or is not dating, I am super interested to see how long will it take the internets to find her, because the internet is good at this. I've seen it happen before. Even with just a shoulder and an arm, there are so many things that they can do. They're going to put together this, that, and the third, the proximity of that, the skin tone, a freckle, a tattoo, any identifying thing, and they going to figure out who it is. They just good at this. Crazy thing would be is if somebody just insinuates that it's them and it's really not, because we'll never know, just so they can get the Drake stimmy, because whoever this woman is, if the internet finds out who she is, or let's just say the internet doesn't, All enough people have to do is confirm the same theory, and that theory will become fact in the world of social media. And whoever that person is, if they're not famous today, they will be famous not overnight, but I mean in minutes. So I'm gonna stay tuned because why not? Now on to Beyonce. Beyonce has just dropped a single that's been leaking since 2023, but this is the most official version of a record that went viral like 3 years ago, or a snippet of a record that went viral. It's called Morning Dew Donk, and she dropped it on 4th of July weekend, and it kicks off a 60-day countdown to her birthday and the 20th anniversary re-release of B-Day. The re-release era is getting kind of ill right now. I mean, you see the moves with Jay-Z re-releasing the Blueprint, and there's rumors that Reasonable Doubt is also going to get an official re-release. And this was after months of singles getting released to DSPs. I was wondering why they were popping up. Like, there were some songs off of Reasonable Doubt that were actually in the TikTok commercial library. Like, I used them for shoppable videos. And I thought that was the most shocking thing ever, that was in the library. So with Beyonce dropping a re-release of B-Day, I'm assuming that there will be maybe 1 or 2 new records on there. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but maybe this is just a standalone single. Or maybe this is a little bit more telling to what Act 3 might actually sound like. Now, we've all been speculating that there's going to be an Act 3, and the consensus is that Act 3 will be a rock or a rock-leaning inspired type album. There's rumors that there's a Stevie Nicks collaboration in the works, or it may already be done. There's rumors that there's a Telephone Part 2 featuring Lady Gaga already in the vault. And of course, the fan theories like Beyonce dressing up as Prince a couple years ago for Halloween, and the Prince t-shirt she was wearing recently, purple dress that she wore at the Lemonade reunion. A lot of people are thinking that the theme color for this new era is going to be purple. Add that to her looks at the Met Gala that were kind of like gothic-y, like rock inspired, and the theory that we've had still holds up. But at the same time, I don't think that there's an accidental Beyonce. So why make the official release, the first single that you've released since Cowboy Carter, be a very R&B leaning record if that wasn't to set the tone for the music that's coming? Like, I would think that there would be a rock inspired record, you know what I'm saying, leading up to this 60-day countdown to the B-Day re-release, but who knows? It could be an R&B project, it could be a rock project. If it is a rock project, do y'all think that the final Beyonce project, I mean, who knows if she's actually going to hang it up after Act 3, but if she does drop something else, is the final album going to be a return to those R&B roots? Let's talk about that one in the comments for sure. All right, let's move on to some streetwear with Drip Watch. Now, Complex ranked the top streetwear collaborations of 2026, and there was a few notable ones on that list that I kind of liked, and we're going to talk about them real quick. One was the Supreme and Mason Margiela collaboration. That one was really dope right there. Very simple, but really dope. The piece was a Mason Margiela hoodie, but it featured the iconic Supreme box logo. And a lot of people are calling it the best Supreme drop of the decade. And I can't really argue with them. Like I said, it's simple, but for streetwear people, it's dope. The Nigo and Nike Air Force One collaboration was a really good one. It was tied to his From Japan with Love exhibit that was in London. You can see the images on the overlay right here. Watching Audemars with the Royal Pop, that was a dope one on the jewelry tip. Not necessarily streetwear, but definitely Drip Watch worthy. I mean, just the announcement of it broke the internet before anybody even saw the watch, so you know that was impactful. Joe Fresh Goods and New Balance's Let's Get Weird. They took 1890s flavor with some 90s Busta Rhymes and Janet Jackson inspired visuals and mixed it all together into something real dope. You can see it in the visuals on the overlay. Human Made and Pokemon is definitely one of my favorite ones right there. I actually just placed the order for one of the Pikachu shirts, so I'm waiting for that to come in, but that was a really dope one. Sometimes the little cartoony collaborations, especially with a brand like Human Made, are things that I like. I always like Human Made style, especially their shirts and 5-panel hats, so I'm just going to add this to the collection. And one X Factor one is going to be Cat's Eye in the Gap. I think Cat's Eye is very understated in some of the collaborations they've been making recently, with this one with The Gap and another one with Coach, where they're kind of doing collaborations that are more accessible to the general fan, which I think is a really dope idea versus going with the high end of the highest end of streetwear or high fashion like some of their early collaborations with Fendi. Just like how Bad Bunny has done with Zara, an 150-piece collection that he dropped with them that was inspired by his Super Bowl look. Like, Zara is very accessible to your average Bad Bunny fan, and it shows you that they are thinking smartly and they're thinking about the fans when it comes to the types of collaborations they're making in the fashion world. Now, let's get on to the Nike story. Yes, 7-Eleven is suing Nike. And it's a kind of strange story right here because I don't understand the logic behind why 7-Eleven would do this. Now, I could see if Nike dropped the sneaker called the Nike 7-Eleven, right? And made it the 7-Eleven colors. That would make sense. I mean, I don't think anybody in legal department would have said that that was a good idea, but that's not what happened, even though the fans have called it the 7-Eleven. The shoe in question is the 95 Air Max Big Bubble. Nike dropped the colorway in sports green and safety orange, and the fans immediately nicknamed it the 7-Eleven colorway. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Maybe a little shady, but it is what it is. The shoe was scheduled to be released on July 11th, which is 7-Eleven Day, aka Free Slurpee Day. And the sneaker's official product copy made a reference to strolling down to the corner store. And now, yes, that kind of does sound like they were deliberately biting off a 7-Eleven style. Now, 7-Eleven's claim is saying that the orange, green, and red stripe is like a copyrighted color mark, and that it already caused casual customer confusion because people were calling it the 7-Eleven. But my whole thing is, why would 7-Eleven not lean into this situation? Or is this lawsuit just a way to make this a more official deal? Because like other retailers, other companies, food brands with companies like Kith and Cinnamon Toast Crunch and other stores and different streetwear brands have had major collaborations that have driven up sales for both parties involved. And I would think that 7-Eleven being positioned with Nike would actually be a good thing for them, not a bad thing. But all in all, 7-Eleven wants the sneakers stopped. They do not want them to come out. And Nike has already pulled them from the sneakers app at the time of this video right here. So who knows if they actually drop on 7-Eleven? We will see. One thing that I will throw out there though is that this isn't the first time something like this has happened. It's just the first time it's led to a lawsuit. And maybe there is some bad blood because there was an official collaboration between Nike and 7-Eleven on one of the SB Dunks. It was just never actually released. It was planned for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, but the only reason why it didn't get dropped was because of, the panoramic that was going on, the COV, what the rest of it is. But if the shoes do drop, I can tell you that resale prices have already doubled just from the news of the lawsuit, which is crazy, but not that crazy. And we're going to get into some more of that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about the New Balances that are going to drop. Laces out. Not what they're called, but that's what I'm saying because New Balance is taking the laces away. They're dropping the 204Bs laceless. Now, debuted at Paris Fashion Week, a laceless slip-on evolution of the 204 line that opts out for more of an elastic type of entry versus the laces that keep them on your feet. They're strips of 3M reflective material, high-vis colorways with a racing-inspired aesthetic. Now, there's two colorways planned for the official launch. On July 8th, you'll get the Fan Blues, and on July 16th, you'll get the Neo Flames. Both are listed to be suggested at $120, and this is also part of a broader trend because Nike has previewed a pair of Air Max 97s that also went laceless, and this was in the same Paris Fashion Week showcase. So I mean, what y'all doing? Y'all going laces out? But back to what I was saying about the resale prices. Sneaker pre-orders are becoming a thing in this era right now, and it makes a lot of sense when it comes to combating like the bot buyers, the people that use the bots to buy up all the new drops in minutes or in seconds after they drop before, your true sneakerheads or your casual collectors or just regular people get a chance to buy them. And obviously this skyrockets the resale price because there's not much of a supply. But pre-orders are definitely having a huge moment, especially after the New York Knicks won the NBA championship. Kith and Nike with the Air Max 95s had a New York Knicks colorway that they had on pre-order. Also, the Air Jordan 3 Knicks are a heavily pre-ordered item right now. And a lot of these pre-orders are like months away from being fulfilled. So a fan or a collector has to commit to this purchase and wait a couple months to get the sneakers, which is great for the companies because they're able to manufacture these sneakers to order and not get stuck with a whole lot of overstock of sneakers in a specific colorway that they can't sell. But I wonder, how is this going to affect the resale market? Is this actually going to have a reverse effect on it? Because now any of these sneakers are truly going to be limited edition. Like, yes, they are limited run sneakers, but they're going to be only limited to how many people place these pre-orders. Because there's no real talk of if these are going to go retail or if these are going to have their own wider limited drop. Meaning that the only ones of these that are going to exist is the people who pre-ordered them. And then if you want them and didn't make the pre-order, the resale market for these has got to be astronomical, like ridiculous. Same thing with Kid Super and Bait. They just dropped 48 different colorways, one for each country in the World Cup. And 38 of those colorways were only available on pre-order. Even Skechers jumped into it, like the OG Anubis NYC Blues jumped straight into pre-orders, just off the strength of his highlights from Game 4. But I think one of the things that might be a negative effect on the actual brand selling these is that sometimes sneakers have a lot to do with hype. Like there's the hype beast and there's actually the true blue collectors. And I think that a lot of the hype is going to die down for a sneaker when you can't get it for months after you paid for it. And I'd be interested to see how long these companies are going to be doing the pre-order thing for. All right, let's jump into some NBA stuff right here. Now, there's been some wild moves happening already. Like we seen the Minnesota Timberwolves just made a trade to get LaMelo Ball and add him with Anthony Edwards, which I think is going to be a crazy 1-2 combo. They're going to have a high-octane offense, and I have some other thoughts about where they might also can upgrade their team. But first things first, the 76ers might be getting ready to part ways with Joel Embiid. And the rumor is that they're looking to move him to bring Anthony Davis to the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, CBS Sports' Sam Quinn is who floated this idea. And the trade would be that the Sixers would send Embiid plus some unprotected draft capital, possibly a 2033 unprotected first-round pick, a whole bunch of other picks, mostly swaps for best, swap for worse, stuff like that mixed in over the next couple years. And the Washington Wizards would send them Anthony Davis, who is disgruntled right now in Washington. He's been disgruntled at the way that he feels as though the Lakers treated his whole trade situation to start with. And a lot of people are saying that LeBron was also not really happy about how the Lakers dealt with Anthony Davis, and that has a lot to do with why he decided that he's going to move on from the team and test out free agency. And people are saying that this Anthony Davis move could be a way to lure LeBron away from some of these other teams out there that a lot of people think LeBron could land. I mean, right now, there's a lot of teams in the mix. There is no official word on where he's leaning towards. This is purely just Span and NBA insider speculation, but I don't know how much of an insider you can be when it comes to LeBron James. Now, there is a risk here. I mean, Embiid and Anthony Davis both have been injury-prone bigs, but there's a big reward. I mean, after recently also adding Jaylen Brown to the team, moving Paul George, bringing in Anthony Davis, and then being able to secure LeBron James, that team looks really good on paper. And I feel as though that Jaylen Brown is going to probably mesh a little more better with someone like Anthony Davis than Joel Embiid in the way that their style of basketball is. So who knows? Because the one move that might change everything right now is going to be, where does LeBron James actually land at in free agency? Now, there's a lot of good stories out there. Him teaming up with Steph Curry and the Warriors. Great story. Homecomings back to Miami or Cleveland. Great story. Teaming up with Wemby in San Antonio. I mean, that would be crazy. That could be the thing that pushes them over the top. They made it to the finals. They couldn't beat out New York. You bring in LeBron James. That's a game changer. Of course. I mean, the Nuggets, the Mavericks, all these other teams that people are naming could all be great stories. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, to me, should be the place where LeBron and them are looking the hardest at. Because of what I said earlier, the high-octane combination of LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards is going to be lightning in a bottle right there. And LeBron James going to a team where he's not going to have to shoulder the load offensively, where he's going to have athletic players who can shoot, who can move the ball, who can move without the ball and be on the receiving end of his passes, is going to probably allow LeBron James to play some of his better basketball that he's played in the past couple years. They have the guys that can shoot from long range. They have the guys that can play defense. They have guys that can rebound. And they're going to have two focal high-octane offensive points. And I believe that when you add LeBron James into the mix right there, The Minnesota Timberwolves feels like the best fit. It might not be the best story right now, but it definitely feels like the best fit. All right, and before we get out of here, let's talk about some albums that are going to drop this month. Future is dropping The Real Me on Epic. It's going to be his 10th studio solo album, 22 tracks. The lead single Radio dropped on June 26th. Future is calling this album of the century. Hey, Future is one of those people where no matter what, I don't think Future has ever dropped a truly whack album, in my opinion. Future sticks to his formula, and that formula works for him. So I'm pretty sure I have an idea of what this Future album will sound like, and even being able to predict it is actually a great thing. It's like, I don't think Future is going to go too far left field and give me something that I'm not looking for. And I think that's why the fans love these albums so much. Couple other drops not so sold on. Now here's the thing, DJ Khaled is dropping The Alarm of God. It's going to come out on July 17th from We the Best Republic. Khaled has always had the knack for making good albums. I mean, Khaled finds the right producers, puts the right collaborators on the track together. I mean, that is the DJ Khaled formula. But with there being no Drake on this project, I feel as though that is going to be the comparative narrative for the entire album right there. And when it comes to how much Khaled sells, I think that number is going to be directly tied to Drake. Even though Drake should have nothing to do with DJ Khaled's album dropping. He's not on it. They're not cool. It should not even be a conversation. But it's going to be, because DJ Khaled pushed this album back from when he first said he had 2 Drakes and there was the whole trailer and rollout and all that. And then we realized you ain't really had them Drakes. So now it's looking like, okay, without Drake being on the DJ Khaled album, will the album do well? Anything underneath whatever people are considering this to be a good selling album is going to be chalked up to, it's because you didn't have them 2 Drakes. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Or is Khaled actually going to have people on this project who are actively against Drake? And are they going to re-stir up or reignite some of the drama? We'll see how that works out. Another person who's in the same boat is going to be Rick Ross. Rick Ross is dropping Set in Stone from Maybach Music Group, and the same thing. I mean, Rick Ross came out and did a verses, told the DJs not to play Drake's verses on like Aston Martin music, which is a classic record. And true, I get why. I mean, him and Drake have been at odds. He did say that Iceman and the projects that Drake dropped were trash. So now it's like, Ross, you've put yourself in a position where you have to be getting ready to drop an immaculate instant classic album, or they are going to shred you apart for this. I mean, you can't call the project that hit #1 instantly. You can't call the 3-project rollout that occupied the entire top 40 and then some trash, and then you not drop something that's an instant classic. So, I mean, I think he's put way too much pressure on this release, and not to say that Rick Ross hasn't put out good music, because he most definitely has. But I mean, this album has got to be the second coming, or the critics are just going to tear it apart. The only ones that won't are the people who just hate Drake, and that's even worse. They're only going to support your album because they don't like the guy who you also don't like. Who wants to live like that? Sheesh. But on July 24th, one of the albums that I have been looking forward to is going to be A-Pop from Tyla. And the reason why is that this album is going to be an important album in her career. If this album does well, if this pop sound or whatever she's going with this mix up and piano, mix up her records and the type of style that she came in with, but more pop, mainstream, top 40 leaning, if it does work, if there are some successful singles from this project, if the album does well, then this could be Tyla moving into that next stage in her career, which I thought that she should have already been at by then. Now, there's a lot of reasons why she wasn't. There was some early on stuff when it came to the media. You remember what Charlamagne the God did when it came to her, and you know, the whole colorism thing that was completely blown out of proportion. She tried to explain it off. Media training was not that well for her back then. But I think that now with the team behind her, with her branching out, doing other styles of records, especially that record Game Time she just did with Future for the FIFA World Cup, that this album right here is going to be important for her. If the album does well, we're going to see Tyla move into a new position in the industry. Well, that's about it. I mean, my name is Wi-Fi and Culture lives here. I'll see y'all next time.
I am the culture.